Taking a turn on the channel for a moment, not talking about Velma, The Last of Us, or any of the other insanity that's going on, and focusing more on the console wars, I guess. I don't know what they're called anymore because the console wars kind of ended, but they didn't fully end. Yeah, it's still a competitive market, so things happen. But the renounding, probably still going to be the champion of the new gen consoles. Yeah, I would say Switch is still classified as a new gen console, even though it came out in 2017. It's questionable. Nintendo Switch overtakes Wii to become France's best-selling home console. The platform holder says over 10% of the French population now own a Switch. I could believe it. I could 100% believe it. Because even though the Switch isn't the greatest thing ever, I do love it. I do play my Switch more than anything else. It has a lot of games on it. A lot of games run relatively well. Some of the problems are, well, it's small, so it can only handle so much. Things of that nature. It is what it is. I love it for what it is. And some of the exclusive games on there, primarily Pokemon or what I play, are really fun. And last year was a big year for Pokemon. And we'll get into that as we talk about this. But as a Pokemon fan myself, it's no surprise that out of the big games that came out last year for Nintendo, the Switch sold really well over in France. And I can see it selling even more consoles this year, even if we're getting into a hard economic strait. I still see it growing. Nintendo claimed on Sunday that 1 out of every 2 consoles sold in France last year was a Switch, according to the local reports. Switch sold 987,000 units last year, taking its lifetime total to 7.1 million and overtaking the previous French record held by Wii of 6.3 million sales. You gotta recognize what that means. Overall, the Switch is, I believe, already outsold the Wii. Let's come over here and look. Yeah, Nintendo Switch is what we're looking at. The Wii is right here. It has already overtaken the Wii overall. It's also overtaken the PlayStation. These numbers are not fully up to date. These come from like November. So take it with a grain of salt. They could have changed by now, but I don't have those numbers on hand. The Wii was one of the most popular gaming systems ever. Everybody had to have a Wii. Everybody wanted a Wii. I had a Wii. The games were okay. Budokai Tenkaichi 3 was very fun on the Wii, but everybody had to have a Wii. Everybody fought for those Wiis. There was a game that I remember, and I don't know how accurate this was, but it was Hold Your Wii for a Wii, where the woman won the Wii but then died of, I think it was urine poisoning or something like that, because you can't hold your urine in for so long. Anyways, the Wii was massive. Everybody wanted that console. There's some good games on the Wii. The Switch has outsold it worldwide and in France. More people have a Switch than they did the Wii. That should tell you how popular this console is. And I like my Switch. I really love my Switch. I play my Switch more than my Xbox. I want to start playing my Switch again, but I'm playing Cyberpunk right now, and I really like Cyberpunk. But the Switch has tons of third-party games on it. It's one of the first Wii consoles since the GameCube. It had a bunch of third-party games on it. You can get almost every Resident Evil on the Switch. I said almost, not all of them. You can get Skyrim. You can get Witcher. You can get some very fun games for the Switch. And on the upside, even though the battery life is only like 2 hours, you can pick it up. And over in France, you got your trains and stuff. You can sit back while you're on your way to work and super easy. You could play Skyrim doing that. how successful the Switch is ridiculous, and I think it could become one of the third best selling consoles of all time, and we'll get into that later in the video. But also last year, it's not a surprise to me that the Switch did so well. The next best selling home console in the country is PlayStation 4 with 6 million sales. The most popular system of all time in France is reportedly Nintendo's DS handheld with around 10.6 million sales. That's going to be a hard number to beat. I could see it beating the PlayStation number probably this year. I could see it beating that number hands down. It won't be easy this year. This year's set to be a very difficult year for everybody in terms of the economy across the world. I could still see this number, though, getting beat out because, well, 7.1. Oh, so it already beat out the number. Never mind. The next best-selling home console in the country is, so this is behind it. I don't see it beating out the Nintendo DS this year. I don't, not even on this whole chart here. I see it getting really close by the end of this year. My belief was we still have another 2 to 3 years left with the Nintendo Switch as the main console until they start unveiling whatever they're going to change it into. That number could still be wrong. They could still just upgrade the Nintendo Switch and put out a Nintendo Switch Pro. Even though right now I believe they are not planning on doing that, but they still could. They could still keep going with the Switch for years. Because that's what they did with the 3DS. DS to 3DS. The 3DS went on for multiple generations where it went 3DS, 2DS, 3DS XL, 2DS XL, new 3DS. New 3DS, new 3DS XL. I think they even had a new 2DS, which was like the 3DS, but just without the 3D. Like, they've done histories of just upgrading the console and sending it out. So it wouldn't surprise me if they did it again. Maybe make the whole console this time handheld, and instead of using a dock, have it just plug these two cords into your TV and play. Instead of having to dock it all the time. You could do some cool stuff still. Don't know if it's possible, but you could. 10.5% of the 67 million French people are equipped with a Switch. Philippe, I'm not even going to try, the general manager of Nintendo France said via Google Translate. 9 of the 10 best-selling games in France last year were Nintendo Switch titles, the company said. Pokemon Legends Arceus led the annual software sales charts. Other top 10 sellers include Pokemon Violet, Pokemon Scarlet, which I usually throw those into the same category because they came out at the same time, but also at the same time, different copies sell differently. Like I believe more Violet copies sold than Scarlet is what it is, even though I like some of the Scarlet Pokemon better. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which is still one of the all-time best-selling games for the Switch. And last year, remember, they announced all the new tracks. I want to say it was borderline a year ago now. They announced all the new tracks. Every one of them. A year ago now, we had Pokemon Legends Arceus. Legends Arceus was huge. It was revolutionary for the franchise. All sorts of people got it. People that have never played Pokemon got Legends Arceus. Scarlet and Violet, 10 million copies worldwide. 3 days. Those are massive numbers right there. And Animal Crossing New Horizons, still an old game, came out in 2020, I believe, during the year that was forgotten. That was a massive game. I don't even get the attraction to the game. People love it though. My younger sister loves the game. She loves playing that game like crazy. I don't get it, but people love it. The only non-Switch game to make the cut was PS4's version of FIFA 2023. FIFA 23. Which, over there they call it football. But soccer is big over in Europe. A lot of people like soccer here. FIFA is a very popular brand. But to know that was the only other game on this list is, I don't want to say shocking, but breathtaking. I believe the Switch is one of the coolest consoles out there. When it first came out, I said that weird. When it first came out, I was not very much impressed because a lot of the games it had I wasn't interested in. And I didn't get a Switch until Sword and Shield came out, and because I go with the Pokemon. The moment I saw Sword and Shield, I was not impressed with Let's Go. But the moment I saw Sword and Shield, I was like, I gotta play this. I gotta buy this. Sword and Shield was okay, but once I got done with Sword and Shield, I started playing around in the banks and stuff. I started seeing what they had to do in the consoles and stuff. I've played tons of other games on my Switch now. I played Breath of the Wild. I love that game. There's tons of games on that thing that I played. I played all of Final Fantasy on my Switch. Well, almost all. I have 7, 8, 9, and 10 all on my Switch. 10 and 10 too. All on my Switch. Play it wherever I want. I love it. So it does not surprise me that more people are going out and buying this console. Felipe, we're calling him Felipe because I'm not even going to try to pronounce that, said Pokemon had achieved a historic year that was unheard of for the franchise in France. And technically, yeah, last year was historic for Pokemon. Let's see. Trying to go over last year, 2022. Yeah, because I can't count Diamond and Pearl that came out. Diamond and Pearl releases that came out in 2020, technically. No, 2021. 2022 was massive for the Pokemon franchise. Like, unheard of levels of massive. You have not seen games come out in such rapid succession prior to all of that. When you look at, I'll throw Diamond and Pearl in, even though that came out in 2021. But I went Diamond and Pearl remakes in November 2021 into Pokemon's Legends Arceus in February. Those were two massive games that came out of nowhere. After that, just a few months ago, you got Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. That everybody, well, mixed reaction, but everybody really enjoyed it. They liked the turn. Some of the change, I get it. Sheepsidian didn't really like it. He's not allowed not to like stuff. You're allowed to like stuff and not like stuff, okay? But the Pokemon franchise was massive last year. Again, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet sold 10 million copies worldwide. 3 days. Hi, Last of Us 2. Last year's Switch became the best-selling Nintendo home console of all time, overtaking Wii's 100... I'm going to do this right. 101.63 million units sold. However, it still has a way to go before it matches Nintendo DS's 154.02 million units sold. And Game Boy and Game Boy Color at 118.69 million sold. Outside Nintendo's own consoles, only PlayStation 4 116.6 million and PS2's 155 million have outsold Switch worldwide. So that's where we're going to keep going. Before I wrap up this video, predictions real quick. These numbers come from roughly November of last year. So plus or minus maybe 100, 200, however many is sold. Right now, with these numbers, Nintendo Switch is sitting at 114.33 million sold. PlayStation 4, all it needs to sell is another 3 million. 3 million, sell 3 more million Switches to beat out the PS4. It needs roughly, say we beat out the PS4 from where it is right now. It needs another 5 million to beat out the Game Boy and Game Boy Color. I could possibly see it beating both those this year. I really could. The Switch is so massive, and the games that are set to come out this year on the Switch vary. You have another Zelda's coming out. You have the sequel to Breath of the Wild is set to come out this year. I don't know what the plan is for Pokemon this year. Pokemon still hasn't announced anything. Rumors are we're having Scarlet and Violet DLCs being announced here in a few weeks. Maybe next month or so. We have all sorts of stuff to look forward to in the Pokemon markets. Hogwarts Legacy, even though it's a month later, is being released for the Switch. I could open up my Switch now. I'll go look through all the coming soons. Who knows what I'll find? I could find some gems on there that I could get on the Xbox as well, but I want to play it on my Switch more. It's gonna run probably a little crappier on my Switch, but when I have it on my Switch, I could go for long trips. I just play my Switch. I could play the same game while I'm on my Switch. The Switch has just more versatility in it. It's already beating out the PlayStation 5 and Series X and S, which, to be fair, is unfair because you can barely get your hands on those. But it's still beating them out. Beating them out hard. That's what she said. Because they have not even made it up to... PS5 hasn't even made it up past 30 million units sold. Series X hasn't even made it past 12 million units sold. So I could still see this console beating out the PS4 and Game Boy Color this year. But let me get you guys' thoughts down in the comments below on all that. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. Share it out with your friends. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell for every time I put out a new video and go live. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye for now.